Welcome to Chocolate Cake for the Soul, a cozy space to return to your truth, awaken your energy, and find clarity. I'm Dewi, and I'm here to hold gentle, powerful conversations on healing, intuition, and the unseen energy that shape our lives. So get comfy, and let's take a bite of chocolate cake for the soul together. Welcome to Business Energy Check, a special series where I read the energy behind a business to reveal what's aligned, blocked, and what it needs to truly grow. Today, I'm joined by a guest who's changing the game in the digital space. He's an entrepreneur and content creator and the co founder of one of Indonesia's top TikTok agencies, helping brands go viral in ways that are both intentional and impactful. He also co founded an AI community, a space where learning, curiosity, and innovation come together. So let's begin this business energy check and see what's waiting to be revealed. So I'm going to set the bubble of the reading at gold with diamond sparkles. And let me ground the bubble. Okay. Can you say your name a few times, full name as it is at birth? And if you go by another nickname, you can say it the fourth time.
My first question is actually, we feel like there's blockade or a lack of, if I could put it, smart people in our company. We're hiring a lot, and we hire fast and we fire even faster just to find the right talent, right? But we feel like it's difficult for us to attract and retain top tier talent who can accelerate our vision. My question would be, like, what is blocking our company from attracting and retaining top tier top tier talent who can accelerate our vision? Is there something else we need to do and to work on to attract basically smarter people? Because to juggle all these things, you need to be lean as a company, but also at the same time very, very good in your performance.
Yeah.
That's one of the challenge that we have. We feel like the talent in our company is not multi-talented or top tier enough.
Okay, so this is a very good question. So as you were describing the background of the company and what it does and all of that, so the first thing, I'll tell you a few things that I noticed. So the first thing that I noticed was the name. At first you mentioned and then it goes by. When you said the name, so when I look at the rose for it looks a little bit small, and you know, like a flower, there's a bud, there's a stem, and there's the roots and all that. And the stem and the roots looks very thin, and the flower itself looks a little bit small. But when you use the name, it looks bigger and more rigid and stronger. So I think it's more grounded than Aiko. So that's the first thing that I noticed. And then you went on around questions around hiring and all that. So the first thing that I noticed was when you look at the company in general, there seems to be a lot of energy poured into the outside. Like, how do I serve the customer? What products can I do? What do I do with the community? What events can I do? Who do I go? So the focus is going outside, which is fine, which is great because you need that to grow the company. However, what I see a little bit that could use a little bit more attention is also use the same energy as you do to focus on the outside as it is inside. So like having a designated time to plan, all those outside activities, looking for clients, going to schools, whatever, having new products, all of that. But also having the time to actually look inward into the company. And this has to be blocked. Like it's not like, okay, when we have time, then we look at it kind of thing. So it's like sort of like brushed to one side, but it's more of blocking a time, using the designated time to really look inward and look inside the company. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I see that there's a little bit a lack of that. So that's why when you hire, it's all about the internal. So you ground a lot of the outside, but you don't ground a lot of the internal. So that's the first thing that I noticed. And then the second thing that I noticed is I'm sure you know what kind of talent you're looking for. However, there seems to be, if you can add a little bit more details and clarity, it would really help. So like for example, even though like you said, it has to be lean, it has to be multitasking, that's fine. But be clear on what that person looks like. So for now, when I see, if I put up a rose for your hiring or your talent, the rose looks a little bit gray, like there's a lot of blurred. So it's more like, it's not as clearly defined, but when you actually go to the outside activity, it's more clearly defined. So if you put in the same amount of energy into all the activities that you do, the products that you build into the hiring, like the clarity, the hiring, the specifications, and don't let the outside limits you. Because I can hear things like, it's impossible for someone to be like this, but also like this, that kind of limitation. So ignore those limits that society or HR or whatever has put, or the titles. Sometimes the title comes with sort of expectation. This kind of title can only do this and not that. Ignore all that. So start with a clean slate and really build, sort of like how you built your ideal client, but you build your ideal position, and not let the outside tell you the limits. And really look at the company and really draw out how you want the ideal of that person to look like. Part of the struggle I see is that it's still not clear how this position should look like, because you don't know yet until you get there. So there's a little bit of trial and error, which is fine. Like just like when you create a product, you don't create a perfect product at the first time, but at least start somewhere. Start from having the clarity so that you can ground it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. It's actually very affirming. One of the concerns I had was that, should I limit the kind of talent? Like, do they have only specific one talent only and not look for multi-talented people? But listening to that, actually, it was really affirming, and it gives clarity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For example, I was just reading something in Instagram, like this person, she's a doctor, and at the same time, she's also a model. You can be both.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people say, no, you cannot be a model because you're a doctor, or no, you cannot be a doctor because you're a model. Why? Like a person can have multi-talents, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the outside, and they have all these boxes, saying that, if somebody do this, they cannot do that, then you're limiting your talent pool. That's why you're struggling. But when you open that possibility, because I think you will then attract the right people who wants, to do all these things, and they can explore within themselves.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's your first question. And then the second question?
So my second question would be, we do lots of collaboration, right? And especially one of the biggest collaboration that we're doing right now is with the high-profile figures. Do you see long-term alignment and impact with these figures, or should we just treat it as a side thing and then focus equally on other things and internal things? Because they do demand a lot, and they demand things to be done quickly. It takes lots of manpower, it takes lots of energy. So maybe my question would be, does our collaboration with them hold long-term alignment and impact?
Okay, so as of now, at the present moment, when I look at the rose, I do see that it is a smaller rose, and it looks a little bit fragile, almost like if something happens, it might break any moment. That's how it looks like. And the rose also looks a little bit dried, not like the fresh rose, It looks a little bit dried. And I also see that the grounding cord and the stem looks a little bit thin as well. So that, in terms of the energy, that's what it looks like. So the question is, can this be a long-term collaboration? It really depends. It really depends on what you want and what you want to create out of it. So when I take a look at this question, I think it's more of, you don't know yet where to bring this to. That's why it looks like that. So it's not so much, should I do this or not, but what do you want? So now there's not enough clarity. Now it's more like, okay, this falls on my lap, let's get it done, let's do it, okay. But then if I ask you, do you have a vision of where you want this to go? that vision is not clear yet. So I think you can revisit this question when you have a clearer vision, then you know if you want to do this or not.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's actually very spot on. Guilty. Maybe we should do this again in a few months.
Yes.
Actually very spot on.
Yeah.
My third question, I'm actually going to change it right at this moment. Like I had another question prepared, but I'm going to choose the second option.
Sure.
So do you see any limiting beliefs or hidden patterns within me or my co-founders? So for context, has two co-founders. There's me, and then there's my business partner. Any limiting beliefs or hidden patterns or anything that limits us that's blocking the flow of abundance and success?
Okay. So first of all, so when I put up a rose for you and then your co-founder and also or Mecca, so there's 3 roses, and then you ask if there are anything limiting the growth. So this is not a reading, but usually, yes, the founders or the leaders would be the one that is setting the energy for the company. So if the founders have whatever issues, internal issues, that would limit the company. I think that's a given yes, and it's for everyone. So how far the company can go is how far us as the leaders can grow as well. But looking at that aside, I think the more interesting thing to look at is how your energy, so the two co-founders' energy is really in front of the rose. So this is you, this is your co-founder, and this is the business rose. So the two of you are in front of the business rose. And what I found usually is that long term, the business needs to, just like, babies at first when they're born, they stick to their moms, the creator, the one who gave birth to them. But as they grow, they need to separate, right? Because if not, then it will be, limited by the mom, right? So it's the same thing. So I do see that right now, you and your partner's energy is really involved in the business, which is fine. But at some point, you need to separate this out from you so that whatever internal thing that's going on in your life or in your partner's life does not affect the business. And I see this very often in newly created business. It's just founded and the founders are still very attached to it. The growth of the business is very limited to how much the founders can detach from it to a certain extent. So I hope that helps answer.
Yeah. That's also very spot on, actually.
Because now the two of you are very mothering the company, which is fine because at the very infancy, you still need a lot of the founders and co-founders' energy to nurture the company. But don't forget that as the company grows, you need to give some space. You need to let the company be at the forefront and you guys be more at the background so that it's not running on your energy. Because if not, if it keeps on, if you keep fueling the company with your energy, and then at some point either you burn out or then the company doesn't sustain. So think about how you can detach from the company, set up systems, set up whatever things so that the company can be by its own, can be grounded by its own and function by its own. Just like, imagine if you have a 20-year-old child or a 30-year-old child, they cannot keep on sticking to you, right? They need to grow and do their own thing and be functioning on their own. They need to learn the skills to do that. So it's the same thing with the company. So you need to figure out ways in how you can detach from the company, but build systems in such a way that the business can still run without you always feeding the company. Because you can't be feeding a 30-year-old adult. Yeah, that's the essence of it.
Okay, thank you. That actually gives me so much clarity and a list of homework things I have to do back in my business. So I'm gonna do them right after this podcast.
But if you want a more in-depth look at the founders, for example, yourself, like what are some of my limiting beliefs and all that, so we can do maybe a different session that would be a more personal question and not a business kind of question. Definitely we can go there. Then you can look at your own energy individually, like what's going on in my energetic field, in my pattern, in my belief system that is maybe that I can change or update so that it you can run the business better that way. Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I feel like during this session, a lot of what you said are, not to put it in a disrespecting manner, but it's very like blunt and also at some points like like basic, but basic in a good way, because those are the things that I exactly need to hear at this point in my life, like at this point of running the business. So it's really refreshing to hear that reminder again and to be given clarity about what I need to focus on in this moment. So yeah, thank you. All the messages are very spot on.
Okay. All right. So let me give you a next step. Your next step is coming in a green. Okay. So here's your homework.
Okay.
So your homework is for you and your partner and whatever maybe key team members to really, just like how you spend a lot of time and energy to build the product, the community, what you want to do on the outside, but in this case, build on the inside. Like, how do you want the company to look like? What is the culture of the company? How do you want people to feel when they're in the company? That sort of thing. So really build that and have clarity around that, because I see that once that's clear and more solid, then you know what kind of people to attract, and also people will know that this is the company for me, because it's clear, you know, like they see it and they know, oh, yes, this is where I want to be. I think that's the next homework for
Oh my
you.
gosh, you just organized my internal thoughts before about the things I needed to do. And yeah, basically that's very spot on. I feel like since the moment this new company was born, we just catered to the external, right? To the clients, to the customers, to the partners. And we paid less mind to what's happening internally. And that's very different to what we did with our previous company, with the agency. With the agency, we really focused on the internal part. I created the culture deck myself, the rules myself, and the culture points myself. And I have not been doing that for. So yeah, thank you. It was very spot on. It's exactly what we needed to hear. It's crazy because like in hindsight, it's obvious.
It's like, in hindsight, it's obvious.
Yeah, in hindsight, it's always obvious, like messages like these. But you as a founder sometimes just need to take a break from working and meet with a nice lady and a nice team and listen to what they have to say. So yeah.
Okay, so with that, I will call this reading complete, maybe. So yeah, so basically, in terms of the reading, that's how it is. I think now we just take a little bit to just.
But yeah, everything was very spot on. I mean, I'm sure maybe like the viewers would think oh, that's very like basic or very like of course that's like duh. But for me, it's like I needed to hear that. Like maybe in hindsight it's obvious, but I just needed to hear the words being spoken from someone's mouth, and I'm just very grateful that I'm able to have this opportunity with you today. It gives so much clarity. Like I know at some point, at some level inside me that I needed to do those things.
Yeah.
But hearing those words coming out of someone else's mouth gives it clarity that I need to prioritize on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on my to-do list at some point, but
Right.
but now I'm prioritizing on that.
So usually in a reading, what happens is it's like all the hidden voices in our head is it's being spoken out loud and come into light.
Yeah.
Usually it's more like that. So when you hear it, something just clicked. Yeah, I already know this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already know this.
Especially your last message. It was crazy because I feel like your last message, you took the words straight out of my mind. I organized a bit of things to do in my mind before, but you organized it so quickly for your last message. So yeah, it was a crazy experience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for giving the reading. I feel so blessed by it. And yeah, I'm sure after this and we grow our company and our company grows, it's thanks to you in some ways as well. So thank you so much for adding value to us.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this sacred pause with me today. If something in this episode stirred your heart or softened your edges, I'd love for you to subscribe, like, and share with someone you love. And leave a kind review. It helps this soul space reach those who need it most. Until next time, may you trust your inner voice, nourish your spirit, and treat yourself to something sweet.